Being an artist is about what you have to say and what your perspective is and what you believe. What can you expect from me? Expect the unexpected. I'm experimenting every single time. Somewhat hold a mirror up to other people and say, this is how I feel. You know, me being healed, ED, right? And, you know, having it all figured out, it's just like, I don't, you know? We are just so conditioned to want to be the best at what we do. And if we're not gonna be good at it, we're not gonna try. I put colors down. The colors then tell me what is being formed from there. And I feel like it's my responsibility to show myself so other people are then inspired to showcase them. So I will be trailblazing in too many different spaces. I mean, hey, my name is Maya Nicole. I am an abstract and intuitive style artist. And when I say artist, I mean with no limitations. So you can find me painting, shooting film, editing videos, styling, designing, and anything else my little heart feels like doing in that moment. You can find me on Instagram at Maya Nicole. That's MAYAAA, 3 A's, Nicole, NICOLE with 2 underscores at the end, Maya Nicole. Right now, I think my biggest goal is peace. My biggest goal right now is peace because I feel like I've spent a lot of time trying to make things happen, right? And trying to go with the hustle and bustle of things. And that has caused me a lot of stress. It's caused a lot of panic attacks, a lot of mental breakdowns because things are not moving at the pace that I would want. I don't feel like I receive certain things that I should or I want in the moment. And I feel like that goes against my whole idea of walking in blind faith and, you know, coming from a space of I'm doing something that I love and ultimately I will be rewarded. So for right now, my biggest goal is just creating peace within myself because I believe in so within, so without. So that's my biggest goal right now. So for me, I don't separate myself. I don't separate my pain from other people. In my opinion, I feel like my work is my therapy. It started off a part of like my self-healing journey. So I wasn't showcasing. But I don't personally believe that the pain I go through is unique. I feel like at some point, somewhere, someone else is able to relate to it. So I always consider my pieces to be mirrors for other people. They are my deepest, you know, in my pits of my soul. That is, you know, where the stories come from. But it is my goal to somewhat hold a mirror up to other people and say, this is how I feel. This might be how you feel. And we share that commonality. Yeah, to me, it's not about separating myself or separating myself as a person versus being an artist or what I'm saying in my pieces. I feel like everything just flows. And the messages are there and I don't try to differentiate. Actually, because I consider myself to be an intuitive style artist. I follow my intuition. I do what feels good in the moment. I don't try to aim for perfection or aim for certain things. Sometimes I go on with no idea at all and then it ends up coming out like, oh. So when it comes to me being in the zone and when I'm creating, I consider myself a self-taught artist. I do have some like training from like high school and middle school with learning techniques and stuff like that I can tap into if I want to maybe do like continuous line or if I want to do like dottism or whatever the word is, I don't know. But you know, I think about those things sometimes, but when it comes to me just like creating, I'm experimenting every single time. I have no idea. If I'm drawing, like I draw a lot of nude figures, experiments. First hands, no like grid lines, no projectors. I'm not aiming for perfection, I'm aiming for what I'm pleased with. And then with my work style, as an abstract artist, I do enjoy lots of Easter eggs, like you said. Like I enjoy putting in special words or extra characters or, unique colors and things like that, just to play on to layers. I love painting in layers because I feel like it gives you more to look at. And the longer you look at the pieces, the longer you're able to say like, oh shoot, I didn't even notice that. Like, oh wow, like, that's crazy. I think that what you said first about kind of like in between that line, funny you use that phrase specifically, because I feel as though a part of my purpose in being an artist, and I define myself as an artist without limits. So I don't only paint, but I do a couple other things here and there. I think that I consider myself a visionary because I see what exists in between the lines. People go for surface value most times, or they try to, go deeper, but there's still something that's sometimes missing, the thing that connects the top and the bottom. I always kind of try to go for the center point to best of my abilities. So with that piece, with the greed and the Bible scriptures and everything like that, for one, I have a complex relationship with religion just due to my upbringing and my personal background. So for me, it's also intuitively picking those scriptures. So if I was to read some of the scriptures that are on the piece right now, they would be aligned with the thoughts of, greed and, just like those kind of, like you said, like low morale kind of standards. In creating the piece, that was not my initial, direction. I put colors down. The colors then tell me what is being formed from there. And it's like, it feels good to put this Bible piece here and the money here, and it kind of works. In the end, the piece now to me does speak of, what it is to be a sinner and what it does mean to kind of exist in a jail, in a hell. But for me, I think, and it's incomplete, the piece is not finished in my opinion, but to speak on a concept, standard, basis, whatever, to me, heaven is what we create in our mind, and hell is what happens here on earth, right? So we are existing here on earth, we are caged in the atmosphere, we are all living for self. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of community-based things, that exist unless you're creating them, to each his own. And I feel like that piece just speaks to where we are right now as a people. We're all kind of just jumping out of the fire, trying to jump out of the cell, but we end up falling right back to where we tried to escape from. I think it's offensive. I think it's, yeah, okay. On one hand, as artists, we have this thing within us where, we feel like we are pushing things out that people have never seen before, that they have not felt, that they have not experienced. But I think that goes against my idea of what I'm trying to accomplish. For me, again, like if I want to hold a mirror up, I don't want people to feel excluded. I don't want them to feel like I am at some level and then they're somewhere else, Ultimately, when I teach like my paint and sips, I always encourage everyone to say, we're all artists, it's all subjective. It's all about your perspective and your perception in this life, right? So it's like, for me, I feel like when we get into conversations and it's me versus them or us versus them, it's only pulling us farther apart, and it's only going to create more disdain, more just a lack of unity. And I feel like ultimately, I want people to wake up to the fact that we need each other, that we need community, that without community in any realm, we are doomed, like as freaking, humans, beings, whatever. You talk about race, you talk about politics, you talk about sex, you talk about gender, you talk about all these nuances, right? As an artist, I don't want to contribute to that. I want to share my perspective, but I also want to point out the fact that this is not only my perspective, and I know someone else might have the same thoughts. I just have the bold energy enough to share it. But there are people who I believe, who think like me, who talk like me, who act like me, who are scared to show themselves, who feel like they are misunderstood, and that people don't want to hear what they have to say, or people don't care about what they have to say. And I feel like it's my responsibility to show myself so other people are then inspired to showcase them. You know, I don't want to have any perception around me that I think of myself on a higher level. I mean, I do. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then, you know, you gotta be realistic. You gotta have your, you know, your confidence or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't want to put myself in a bubble that's floating away from everyone else. So one thing in a couple of conversations that I've had is I push the point that, you know, as children, we are our truest selves. We are born knowing who we are, what we like to eat, what we don't like to eat, when we want to go to bed, when we want to laugh, what's funny, who pisses us off, whose energy we don't like. We know all of that as children, right? But then you introduce us into the school system, introduce us into just more structure, discipline. Those things are kind of pulled out of you left and right. So my point in us being children is that, again, when we're children, we know everything that we want in life, and life essentially kind of puts you in these different elements that cause you to be on your best behavior, which is like a herd type of mindset. When I teach children, children are very vulnerable. Adults are not vulnerable. Children are, in my opinion, depending on the age range too, either not afraid to fail or too afraid to fail, to the point where they are going to paint. And I've talked children down off of panic attacks where they're crying and they're frustrated because their turtle doesn't look like my turtle, or they have too much paint on their canvas and now things are blending together and their green is now brown. And to me, you know, those are my favorite moments, because it's a life lesson in that moment that you don't strive for perfection. You don't base your value off of this piece of canvas right now. You have all the time in the world to let this canvas dry and then try again. Or we can wipe it off and we can change your color. I can come in and I can help you, show you how to hold your brush, and then it's different. With adults, I feel like we are just so conditioned to want to be the best at what we do. And if we're not gonna be good at it, we're not gonna try. So in teaching adults, I have to really come in on the basis of, okay guys, we're gonna keep our classes really cute and positive, right? So that means no bad energy. So that means, oh my God, I suck, I can't do this, I don't wanna hear it. Like, no, we're not doing that, because what does that do for you? At the end of the day, I say, you know, you have to trust the process. We can't see the final product until the very end. If you don't like it at that point, we can talk about it, but I will be able to come around and help you if you need it. But essentially, being an artist is about what you have to say and what your perspective is and what you believe. So what I create and what you create are gonna be different, but that's the point. And I think that it's easier for children to accept that quicker than it is for an adult, because an adult is still like, well, how did you blend your colors like that? And how did you do that? And the kid is like, oh, word, I can do my own thing? Cool. Now my turtle is pink and it has a pink face and a yellow tail, and they're fine with it, you know? But adults are a lot more resistant. But that is to be expected when we go our entire lives having to follow a certain set of structures and orders and things that make the most sense. I definitely relate my own self-taught, you know, my mindset when I'm teaching adults again and again. Like, this whole mirror thing is so real, because when I first started painting, again, like 2019, 2018, I was really hard on myself because I didn't feel like my work looked as good as the other artists that I saw. I knew that there were certain styles I enjoyed, people I wanted to, you know, take inspiration from, but my work, it couldn't look like what I wanted it to look like for a moment. So when I am teaching the adults, I don't come from a place of not understanding, you know? I know exactly what it is to be in a space trying to make something perfect, trying to make something look good, but I swear to God, as soon as I got rid of that mindset, as soon as I started letting things flow, I got my best work because it's like the channels are now open. You're not restricting yourself. You're not blocking anything off. It's just you and your canvas and whoever you believe in, you know, is working with you in that time. Whatever your source is, I feel like comes out through you when you just let yourself be. And I think that, again, like just being a mirror and understanding that so within, so without, and everything that I experience is a learning lesson and is a testament and a testimony for me and for other people. I am always coming from a place of empathy when it comes to my teaching, kids or adults. That's my opinion on that. I would like to respond. For one, you said healed, ED. I am healing, ING. I am not healed. I would never claim to be healed. I think that that's a lifelong journey, and I don't think that I barely got my toes wet, I feel, personally. I feel like I'm going through something every single day. I feel like self-reflection, you know, is something that you can only really fully, like, you know, throw yourself into as you grow. So I do a lot of reflection, you know, because I'd be in the crib painting all day or whatever. So I have a lot of time to think. But at the same time, that only goes but so far. You know, you still have to immerse yourself into the world and get different experiences to where what I thought about myself and what I thought I had gained knowledge on, right? And what I thought I had healed per se, 6 months later, something happens that now triggers me or triggers an old reaction out of me that I am still working through, you know? So I just have to say, like healing is a lifelong process, and I have not figured it out yet. But I am confident in the fact that I am aware of how things are all interconnected. And I do believe that for where I am in my healing journey has me at a unique advantage sometimes in terms of how I relate to other people, how I perceive other people, and how I just communicate in general. I think I have a poise to me that comes off where I have all my shit together and I know exactly, you know, what it is I want to do and where I'm coming from and where I want to go, but it's not the case at all. So yeah, I just really want to like drill that point in, because I get that a lot from people where they just speak to me as if I have it all, you know, and it's easy to perceive me that way, but just knowing how I feel and how I'm like, you know, I have a mental breakdown, I feel like twice a week or something like that. I would never want to let anyone walk away believing that about me, you know? And to know that like that's normal. And when I say mental breakdown, it's not so much a breakdown, it's just more of like, sometimes you have to get your mind like bursted open in different ways, and that can be emotionally taxing to you. But on the other side of it, I do come out more knowledgeable, with more wisdom, and just with more empathy for myself. I don't like it. And I know that people mean well when they say it, that it comes from a beautiful and positive place. But I feel like, to me, it feels like it doesn't allow me real space to be sometimes. Because when you already have the high expectation of who I am, right? And how I maneuver through life, what about my bad days, you know? People call me a lot when they have like their bad days, or because, you know, I have a lot of wisdom, or I got some good words and I can form a nice sentence or whatever. But it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I think that more outside of it being about advice, it's about an emotional safe space. People seek an emotional safety within me because of the fact that I have a poise, I guess, to me, and I have a certain amount of wisdom or whatever, that it makes sense to come to me when you are kind of like in distress. I don't have a problem with it. I love it. I love being here for people and everything like that. My point is that to your statement of, me being healed, ED, right? And, having it all figured out, it's just like, I don't, And sometimes you just have to make space for the fact that I might not have that, and I don't want people's perception of me to just exist only in that realm. That's it. But I'm here. People want to call me. You need me. I'm here. I'm your girl. Don't worry about it. We good. We good. It is what it is. What can you expect from me? Expect the unexpected. I consider myself an artist without limits. I go by defined because I define my life by my own rules. I don't really care to follow the rigid restrictions of what makes sense for society, right? So for me, right now, I'm really in a space of bold experimentation with my dreams. There are a lot of things I want to do, a lot of things I want to be a part of, that I hope people, make space for me, accept me in, pull me into, invite me into these spaces. But if not, just know that I am someone who feels like the calling on my life is bigger than the moment. So I will be trailblazing in too many different spaces. I mean, from the styling, I've been taking sewing lessons with my girl Tony. So I've been trying to do some more designing. I don't work on art every single day. It has to kind of be in a mood. If it doesn't flow, it doesn't flow. But I do plan on being in a gallery by the end of next year. So
it'll happen, trust me. Somebody's gonna be like, yo,
definitely something like that. But yeah, I mean, for me, I just think that you can expect to see more of me in many different ways. Me showcasing myself, my truth, and my heart on a bigger level from here on out.
All right, my Nicole, I will see you again, and the world is yours. All right?
Thank you.